meeting to order and have roll call. Peterson here,
Carrion here.
Jabilski here, Grosvenor here, standing to the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm not aware of any correspondence or comments.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm not aware of any correspondence or comments.
Mr. Chairman, the record should reflect Mr. Dukniak, sir.
Actually, it's Glenn's fault.
Everything's fine.
I move to approve minutes.
A second.
Motion's been made to approve and second the minutes of November 15th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Need a motion for our voucher list for December.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made in second.
Second.
Motion's been made in second. I just have a couple of questions. I'm sure they're simple questions. We have Ferguson Enterprises on hydrants for $12,136. Is that a normal purchase that just happens periodically, or did you have to do something unique?
That's, actually, that purchase was for 2 years to restock our inventory.
Okay.
Prices, parts have just gone out of the world, you know, money, but that went back in the inventory.
Sure. So either it's gonna be the best purchase goes down again. Can't believe that's it, then the other. First Supply LLC adapter uses V9 lids and water covers for the 2023 road, something or other, $11,000.
Those are the valve boxes we use during the road project and throughout the year. That when we put them on, we upgrade them. They're a thicker material cast, and we find when the plows hit them, they don't shatter or break.
Okay.
They were so that same purchase last year was $85.
So this is an annual purchase. Got it.
Typically, when we do a road program, you know, the final elevation of the road differs a little bit.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Report on the water system performance.
Okay, this month was, well, we were buttoning up, getting ready for the winter months, but the meter change-out program, once again, has come to a halt due to lack of meters. We're using we're testing and using the usable water meters back in the system. That's about all we can do right now. Fire hydrant was struck on South 51st. Motorist, we repaired the hydrant, and we're trying to go after it. We had a water lateral repair in a concrete driveway on Southwood Drive. We were able to get the concrete work completed. Drexel Avenue water tower was most likely struck by lightning about a month and a half ago. Aviation lights above and the control panel down below were taken out. We're fortunate enough we had a 5-year warranty on it. About 3 years ago, same thing, 5-year warranty on it. About 3 years ago, same thing happened. So we're just responsible for labor. A remote robotic underwater inspection was made by KLM Engineering on the Putes Water Tower. Had all indications, was pointing that the tower had no major issues. We had American Leak Detection come in after the utility exhausted all their abilities to try to help a contractor out with a leak. And after they they're out with a leak. And after they came in 3 times, no leak was found. We're suggesting, the utility is suggesting back to the contractor to put in a clay dam, that night dam. Sump pumps, they're running like every 40 seconds. But, you know, we exhausted all we can do right now. So we handed it back off and he was good with it. This is the continuation from last meeting. This is the continuation from last meeting when I brought up the subject of the Buttes Tower. At this point, the utility has completed a wet robotic drawdown inspection. First indications, everything looked good and there were no major problems. It sent a letter stating there could be no let me start over. I got a letter from the DNR. It was nasty, but professional, stating they're going to come after the utility for penalties and monetary does not comply. I replied back to the DNR stating we did a robotic inspection on the 9th of this month in good faith to let them know we're working on the issue. They asked to see the report. January 4th, I'll be report. January 4th, I'll be meeting with Ruker and Milky. Try to encapsulate something. I'm sorry, but it's so convoluted. Our ideas, maybe what we can do, but they're really not positive on them. And at that point, after our meeting, we're going to bring Oak Creek into the circle and then KLM and try to put something together.
Did you hear back from them about the robotic inspection?
Well, they wanted
Did you hear
to,
back from them after you sent it to the report?
no, they wanted to see the inspection. If you
Yeah.
read the email,
Oh.
Our man in the DNR, that when I get it, he'll get a comprehensive report. And he maybe thinks that's what the people in Madison will call off the dog. You know, penalties. So,
They don't, like I told you, we do it, and we have the same issue in town. And we did it, we just sent it to the report, said here.
well, after one of my conversations with Madison, I said, the rules are rules, you betcha. I said, rules are rules, you betcha. I said, I got a paper trail. I told him I got a paper trail. If something goes haywire, I'm not going to get a boil order. You know how it goes.
Yep.
So,
Who are you talking to? Who is that, Madison?
Tony, his contact. I'd have to look.
So Dan, can I understand correctly that Waukesha does robotic reports in lieu of drawdowns?
Right, that's what I shared the email, Mike, after the last piece.
Good knowledge, thank you.
Yeah, and Tony Rickerson's our guy too. So,
Is he a seasoned person or is he a
Yeah.
fresh? Okay.
yeah, Tony's been around for a while.
About 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah. But we can always call, make most of it.
But, you know, as you know, this is supposed to be simple and easy. Not redirect your system, SCADA operations, other cities come involved in. It's becoming,
Yeah.
I guess that's all I got.
No questions? Okay, unfinished business, water tower design update.
Actually, I did pass it out yet. I didn't pass it out yet.
Is it good news or is it?
Well, November 17th, we received bids on the water transmission main. We got 9 bids. Low bid was presented by A.W. Oaks in the amount of $1.753 million. December 15th, which was last Thursday, we received 4 bids on the elevated water storage tank. Low bid was presented by CBI McDermott out of Illinois in the amount of $6.253 million, putting the total project cost $8.007 million, down from where we estimated it last month.
Right.
But still above the $7.12 million that we gave to the PSC back in July of 2021, I believe it was. Results in about a 12.5% increase over what we gave to the PSC, so as such, when the commission elects to move forward, we will have to write a letter to the PSC because it's in excess of 10%. Get permission, but with inflation rates, it depends who you listen to. Would be anywhere from 8 to 15%. We're kind of in the wheelhouse with inflation over the course of the last 8 months. I was happy we had that much interest in the project. I can say that, for example, the transmission main was very competitive, wouldn't you say, Glenn? I mean, I think the bidders were within $50,000 of one another. $1.8 million contract, that's pretty decent. In terms of the tank, it wasn't as close, but it was 6.25 to 6.52, 6.98. I mean, there were 4 of them, and then 6.98. I mean, there were 4 of them, and then Phoenix, who I don't know that we ever even got a question from during the bidding process, came in at almost $8 million. So I'm not sure how you want to proceed, so I have not at this point made a recommendation. There are, for example, in the water transmission main portion of the project, there are 2 sections. I'll let Glenn take over from here. It's my 2 cents for what it's worth.
So we've, honestly, just today I really just started digging into the numbers. And trying to look at. I think I noticed there is, I want to say, some fluff numbers. For example, water services. We don't anticipate hardly anybody's going to connect to the water service. Probably take those out of the. That could be, if you will, fluff. There's some extenuating circumstances that we may look at not doing the bottom part of the water main. That's southern section. Take it back. Top section. Top section is the sub. Just over $1 million. There, I can't go into full detail in open session, but there's a reason to believe that maybe we don't want to do that. Hopefully by next month I'll know something I can share with you. So having said that, we're really digging into the meat and potatoes of what the bid budget means, and I haven't talked to finance yet on the numbers and exactly where that is compared to what our estimates are. Also not shown here is the portion of the water main. The contractors bid an 8-inch main versus 16-inch. So the water impact fees paid the delta of that. So where do all the dollars come from? I can't tell you. We just really got into evaluation.
Ask a dumb question, Glenn.
Sure.
I've been looking for A.W. Oaks on these.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you look at, there's 2 sides to the water main.
Aha.
There we go. Top, there's engineer's estimate, A.W. Oaks, Globe Contractors. Engineer's estimate, A.W. Oaks, Globe Contractors. So A.W. Oaks is the low bidder. And to save you a few minutes from when I first looked at this, the very top number is the subtotal for that first section. And then midway you see the $160,000. That's the sum for what you see below it. So add up everything, and that's the number at the bottom, the 1,753,415.
Thank you.
The tower, there's just one page to that, just one side to that. So I do feel comfortable with the numbers. They're tight, relatively comfortable with the numbers. They're tight, relatively tight. There's a lot of folks who, were bid on it. So that was a good sign, the fact that we got so much attention to the projects. So we, again, we're just really started in the evaluation. I want to show you what the raw numbers are. And I can tell you that,
What's the plan from here?
So I'm going to continue doing the full evaluation, probably talk about this again next month. Talk about a recommendation to Common Council that would probably follow this next month. Again, talking with finance, figure out what we can and can't do and what is possible and what the next steps are. So the pipeline was first, and then we pushed back the tower bid 2 weeks.
2 weeks, from the 1st to the 15th.
I thought, okay, so we pushed that back a little ways. So, and were you able to get a hold of AW Oaks and ask the question?
I have.
And were you able to get a hold of AW Oaks and ask the question?
I have called their project manager on a couple of different occasions. All they've given me thus far is a cell phone, and he's not. Right.
So our intention is to talk to AW Oaks and say, hey, hold your bid for another month. In fact, they will, but we don't have that conversation yet.
Who's the project?
Jay, and I can't think of his last name. Beasley. So at least I have the right person.
That's all I have to report on this.
Okay. And last item, new business, got the answer from PSC, right?
Yeah, so if you recall, paraphrase, and I have to make the minutes, but paraphrase basically told me we could discount the water as much as the PSC would allow. PSC did come back, surprisingly. They said we could discount it to the rate that we're paying our wholesale supplier. So after some clarification, I did put conversation in a documentation so we can find that in the future, document that. There is a question, and policy question, so I want to bring it to the board. This customer paid everything up front, so the question is, do we just write her a check? Give them a check, or provide a credit for future bills? I did speak with, but for what's worth, I did speak to this president this morning. He's okay with just a credit for future bills. We do generally have folks come in, and it's usually a hardship, and they, even at the discount, I think that they would the payment to do it. I guess the question is, can we just work with the customer, or do you have a preference on, do we just write them a check, or do we give a credit, or do we allow them to vote?
I spoke to Jerry, and our past practice is always going to give credit. With this instance, it is going to take her probably a couple of quarters to pick up. But I forget the number.
1,700.
Yeah, it was a number.
The reason why that may not always work is if someone, they didn't pay their bill because it was so large, do we give credit, say, give me a check for the full amount, then we credit for your future ones, or I can see where that might be a little glitch in the policy.
A couple questions. So I don't know what the actual minute said, but this says we move to allow whatever reduction the PSC allows. Allow doesn't say that we would apply the allow it. So I guess maybe that's what we meant. That's what I'm trying to figure out, because I can't recall from that. The other question is, and I have no problem with the whole price, but we didn't do the whole bill of the whole. We didn't do that.
Just the water.
No, it'd be just
No, the water, but not all of the water. I mean, there's some normal usage of water.
not 100%, but I think the answer Yeah.
As long as you did something like that, I don't want the whole thing. And I guess the question is, do you have do you have a policy on what we do with this? 'Cause let's get a policy.
We need to write one.
Yeah, because, and I don't think it has to be absolute that anytime anybody asks, we give them the wholesale. I think we still get to determine whether we're gonna allow it or not.
Interpret her response to me is, no, we have to make, whatever we do for this customer has to be for all future. So for
We
example,
didn't know that when we did the minute, because I might not have given the wholesale.
so
Will it go in our PSC rules?
what's that?
Will it go in our rules that are filed?
I was not asked to write that and modify it and send them what we do. But this
Well,
was,
the next rate case, you'd probably update it.
this was, the response was, is that if a future customer complains, they're gonna see what we did for this customer. That's what we,
But this is all by email? There wasn't a formal
that's what we.
But this is all by email? There wasn't a formal request,
Well-
a formal letter from the commission?
It's not an email. They have a system where everything's online. You have to correspond by online. The
So it's just
last,
like a complaint, call it?
yeah, the last section is actually via email, but everything else is, you have to enter things on their process. There were actually 2 complaints, same issue, because I called and asked the question. That was one complaint, and then the resident called and went through her due process. That was the second. Same issue, but there was 2 case numbers assigned to this issue. But there was 2 case numbers assigned to this issue. So I would, wish Jesse were here, but I would suspect that you could pass and you can make a new motion on what you intend to do.
We need to do that if PSC came back and said, you can do this, but whatever you do sets precedent,
Yes.
and say, okay, here's,
You probably can make that reasoning. I don't know that you need to go that far, but that would be fine.
Wait a minute. So, I'm just trying to figure out, we probably would need Jesse, just because you do this once, I find it hard to believe that you always have that way. They're saying that's what you have to do, just no matter what, then, hell, I'll just let my water run by mistake and call you guys, and that'd be expensive, but
And
it
I'll-
just seems.
And I'll quote her decision made by the board: the utility would need to treat other customers in the situation the same moving forward. If a similar customer were to file a complaint in the future and they were not provided leak credit, PSE could then render a determination the utility has showed precedent by providing leak credits and would need to provide a similar credit to the complaining customer to avoid a discriminatory quote.
To me, treating them the same as we listen to their complaint and make a decision based upon that different answer. I mean, they're doing an outcome-based versus considering fact. If I had known this would have been precedent setting, I don't know that I would have said use those. Because we don't get too many of these, but we've had enough over the years where pretty much just said you can pay with over a period of time. That's how we've dealt with it. Now, all those people are getting a different, we didn't know we were changing precedent.
Right.
I don't think any of us didn't. Are getting a different, we didn't know we were changing precedent.
Right.
I don't think any of us didn't.
There have been cases in the past that have used similar. But
I thought we asked that. We were told no. Maybe we did. I don't know. I'm not saying wrong here. Ask the question.
it gets a little more complex here too, because there needs to be a policy that says this is what we will do, but it also says, I'm not convinced that,
So,
see, resolution says the problem is fixed, and so then we can, they've paid the full amount, and I'm fine with that. Everybody would be, and I say then there's a credit, if you're gonna give a credit, they'll just get the credit over the next 2 or 3 months, quarters. orders.
How about this? How about if hypothetically you were to move to reconsider the motion from last time and then table it, give me some direction on a policy, right? Talking with this customer, they're no hurry for the money. She's okay to, because now that you know precedent, you want to put a little more thought into official policy. So when you were to move to reconsider and then table it, give me some guidance on maybe drafting a policy.
When is our lowest residential rate?
What's that?
When is our low?
What's that?
When is our lowest residential rate? Is it an inclining rate block structure? Or is it inclining? So the lowest rate is the first.
The more you use, the higher value.
Yeah. So was she?
No, I take it back. She was getting the highest rate. It's a, what do they call it, conservation.
So you think the more water you use, the more you pay?
You're penalized for using.
Okay.
You're encouraged to use water.
So would it be the lowest rate would the lowest rate would be the first rate block? So how much of a credit would the first rate block give her? You know, because that would
go back. But I think your first order is reconsider them.
Yeah, but but I mean, you know, then the first rate block, at least our expenses are covered also. We incur costs
Yeah, that's what I was
to
thinking.
move water through the system.
Well, if you need a motion to reconsider and create a policy, time for us to reconsider
Second.
policy precedent.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Now it's suggested you motion.
So that was unanimous, just in case you need a roll call vote. Everybody else.
Okay. Suggest to you that perhaps you want to make a motion, table the matter, come back with a suggested policy guidance, what you'd like to see.
Motion to do so.
I'll make a motion to table the matter and
Motion to do so.
I'll make a motion to table the matter and yes.
Second.
I think you want to change it so you have the staff coming back.
Come back with a policy that we charge at the lowest rate.
I don't know. I mean,
Are we still talking about our motion or are we past that?
no, we're past that.
past that.
We're past
All
that.
right, good.
Now we're talking about what we want to
In
come
the
back.
policy.
And of course, this isn't final. You'll pay it
Right.
next month, but
Right.
next month. But gives me
I
some
mean,
guidance.
I don't know what the difference between the lowest rate and the wholesale rate is.
Okay.
Is it? I mean, we pay $2 a thousand, then $5 a thousand, or is it?
I don't think it's that extreme.
I mean,
Well, it's 3 something and then our,
Well, 3 something's what we buy it from free. Sell it to our customers. Buy it.
right,
I want to say it's like 5 and 6. There is a noticeable delta, not
But really,
double.
before we get into like the mechanism of what the trigger is, they need to qualify. So we need to have language that determines that someone qualifies
Qualifies legally.
for to receive a reduced rate. Because in your example of I would just leave my faucet on and then say, so sorry, well, you wouldn't qualify. You have to pay.
So if
when I watered my lawn for that summer and
Yeah.
the bill was really
Right.
high and
Yeah,
oh, something was wrong.
yeah.
But if
a bill is more than
If it's a
2 times, 3
malfunctioning
times
meter, just
normal bill, 2 times,
malfunctioning
3 times
meter, just
normal
to
bill.
use it, something that's out of their control. Malfunction meter, this is what happened. Now we have a different,
So now
okay,
malfunction
that's a
meter.
bad example.
Yeah, malfunction meter is a different issue.
Right.
A leak, a defect in the system.
Yes.
Where there
Leaky
is
toilet or
say
leaking
is
toilet or
say 2 times, 3 times, 4 times the normal bill?
Yep.
I don't
So
know.
let's determine what that qualification is before we, because that's then going to set apart whether or not they all go into the same bucket, or if we say, no, there's 3 buckets. This one, you're paying the bill. This one, it was a malfunction of whatever, not on you. And then this third is the situation.
So you might get to a point where, might there be a certain level where might charge the wholesale rate, or are you always charging the lowest block?
I think that, once we get into that, once we get into that, then it's gonna be, well, what rate are we going to charge? Because it's clear whatever we charge is going to be throughout.
I think your problem is that you've already agreed with the customer to the wholesale rate.
Well,
So, but at your first meeting, you're reconsidering. That's
well,
fine.
yeah, we moved to reconsider that. We haven't. You're saying that we already set a precedent with who? With this person?
They're saying that your bill has been
Yeah.
discounted. You have,
Okay, so you haven't told them that there's any kind of a credit or anything like that?
verbally I have, but that doesn't, I can
I was
explain.
wrong.
We haven't
And
done.
the PSC hasn't really told, they said, whatever you do for this person, you can charge them whatever you want, but whatever you do for this person, it's gonna.
Precedent.
So they haven't really charged them whatever you want, but whatever you do for this person, it's gonna.
Precedent.
So they haven't really said, yeah, you can, or you can charge them the wholesale
She
rate.
did say you could go down the wholesale rate. So you can go anywhere from where they are down to a wholesale rate, as long as you're consistent. As they say, it doesn't matter if you're wrong, as long as you're consistent.
I mean, that's the thing, technically, we don't have to do anything.
No.
It's a customer property issue.
Well, and the other question is that if you are doing something where you're doing, you want to make sure that the problem is fixed.
Yes, I agree.
And I think that needs to be in the policy.
Yeah.
I also think that Jesse needs to look at this policy before it needs to be in the policy.
Yeah.
I also think that Jesse needs to look at this policy before we even have a chance to put our 2 cents to it. Because of what the PSC has said already.
Yeah.
I have sympathy for customers where this happens for it because somebody had a problem.
Right.
I know that we shouldn't necessarily socialize everything because they have an issue.
Well, I like your idea that you're paying the full rate on water you did use in the north. Other problem we need to be.
So I'm imagining it tiered, if you will. So first of all, we figure out, well, what would your normal bill have been? We'll use it
Yeah.
based on past experience. Pay your normal rate based on that. And it sounds like there's another block where a lower rate, 4 times multiplier, than you can wholesale. Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
We'll have to see it, and I mean, I
Okay.
hate to say it, but you might want some little examples going. for the
Okay.
customer.
Yeah.
What it means.
And
I
we'll,
can-
and I'll also bring the actual dollar,
And I
and I'll also bring the actual dollar amounts what that would be currently. We'll use maybe this customer as a taste test.
Because this is the largest situation that we've experienced, correct?
It's pretty big. I don't know if we've had.
I think it's the largest one I've ever seen.
A couple of years ago, we had somebody that water line broke inside their
Didn't we
house.
have an industrial customer where they did something one time and they were claiming?
I
theirs?
do remember that.
And that's a lot. That was a lot of money.
There was an irrigation.
And don't necessarily. That's why I'm a little bit nervous that we start doing this. Then we gotta give.
I'll work on some ideas and do on.
Yeah.
It ought to be that it gets approved by the commission.
Yes,
To the situation involved, and then that's when whatever.
correct. That's what I said. There should be a threshold that we approve that there should be something, and then you give them the discount. But from what the letter said, from what you were telling us, it sounds like no. Once you give it, you got to give it.
To give it to everybody, yeah.
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 That's their whole.
Which I think is,
policy.
That's,
I put the correspondence in here, but a better way to document that would be the official policy.
Are you comfortable?
Yep, I got some guidance. Thank you. So, good. You're going to move to table the matter? I thought
We did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Table it and have staff bring it back.
Gotcha. All
I think
right.
I
need
think
to
what we
vote on
did
it.
is we had a motion to table it. Was there a second to table it?
Yes,
Who?
me.
Okay.
We need to vote
All
on
those
it.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
One thing left.
A biggie. A biggie. Want to go? Need a motion to,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.